Many people in life carry invisible weights on their shoulders. These weights are not made of stone or iron. They are made of memories, regrets, attachments, and expectations. And the heavier they become, the slower we walk forward in life. To let go is not to forget. To let go is not to give up. To let go simply means to release what is no longer serving your growth. Yes, it is difficult. The heart wants to hold on because it feels safer in what it knows. But if we keep holding, we prevent our hands from being free to receive something new. So today, let us talk about this truth. I know it's hard, but you must let go. Because only by releasing the old can you open yourself to the possibility of becoming who you are meant to be. Many people in life carry invisible weights on their shoulders. These weights are not made of stone or iron, but they feel heavier than any physical burden we could imagine. They are made of memories that we replay again and again, regrets that whisper to us late at night, attachments that bind us even when we wish to be free, and expectations, our own and those placed upon us by others, that weigh down the spirit. These invisible loads are rarely seen by the outside world, but within they shape the way we walk, the way we think, and the way we breathe through life. When we carry them for too long, our steps become slower, our vision becomes clouded, and our hearts feel exhausted before the journey has even truly begun. When we talk about letting go, it often sounds like a simple action. In language, it is just 2 words. But in practice, it is one of the most challenging things a human being can attempt. To let go does not mean to deny what happened. It does not mean erasing the memories or pretending the past never existed. To let go means to acknowledge what was, to understand its place in your life, and to release your need to hold on to it. This release is not weakness, it is strength. Because holding on is easy. Anyone can cling to the past, to familiar pain, or to a comfortable identity. But to open your hands, to loosen your grip on something that feels like it defines you, that requires courage. Think of how water flows in a river. If you try to hold it in your hand, the tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. But if you let your hand rest open, the water passes through and continues its natural course. Life, too, has this flowing nature. Experiences come, they teach, they change us, and then they are meant to move on. But often, we resist this flow. We hold on to people who have already left. We hold on to failures that happened long ago. We hold on to anger, to disappointments, to wounds that have already closed, but whose scars we keep reopening with our thoughts. This resistance creates suffering because the natural order of life is movement, not stagnation. Letting go does not mean losing something valuable. Instead, it means trusting that what you truly need will remain, and what is no longer serving you will depart. There are lessons that only arrive once we are willing to release what we cling to. Imagine carrying a heavy bag everywhere you go. At first, you tell yourself you are strong enough, you carry it proudly. But with time, your back hurts, your legs grow tired, and your mind becomes occupied with nothing else but the effort of holding that bag. Now imagine putting it down. Your hands feel light, your body feels free. Suddenly, you notice the colors of the world around you, the air feels fresher, and your steps quicken with ease. That is the power of letting go. The weight was never your identity. It was only something you chose to carry. But why is it so hard? Because the human heart does not want to step into uncertainty. It prefers the known, even if the known is painful. Pain, after all, can feel safer than the unknown. A person who suffered once may believe that by holding on to their memory of pain, they can protect themselves from being hurt again. A person who lost someone may believe that by clinging to grief, they keep their loved one close. A person who failed may hold on to regret as a way of punishing themselves, thinking it will make them stronger in the future. But these are illusions. Pain, grief, and regret are teachers. But once the lesson is delivered, the classroom must be left behind. If you stay sitting in the same chair, Long after the lesson has ended, you will not grow, you will only stagnate. Letting go is not about forgetting. Memories are part of who you are. They shape your character, your wisdom, your empathy. But the difference is whether you are living with the memory or living inside the memory. One allows you to move forward, while the other keeps you trapped in the past. The choice is subtle, but it changes everything. It is like walking with a shadow behind you versus walking backward, staring into the shadow. The shadow is always there, but only one of these choices allows you to see the path ahead. The first step toward letting go is awareness. You must ask yourself, what am I holding on to? Is it anger towards someone who wronged me? Is it guilt for a mistake I cannot undo? Is it fear of losing something I never truly had control over? When you identify what you carry, you begin to see the weight for what it is. It is not part of your being. It is something external you picked up along the way. And if you picked it up, then you also have the ability to set it down. This awareness does not come overnight. It comes with silence, reflection, and honesty. It comes when you stop distracting yourself with noise and sit quietly with your heart. Once awareness arrives, the process of release begins. Release is not always immediate. Sometimes it is like untying a knot that has been tangled for years. You loosen one thread, then another, slowly, patiently. Each act of loosening may feel small, but eventually the knot unravels. And when it does, the rope is still there. Your life is still intact, but it is no longer bound in a way that restricts you. To let go is not to forget. Forgetting is something the mind tries to force when it wants to escape pain, but true release is not about erasing. Forgetting denies a part of your journey, while letting go honors it. Every experience you have lived, whether joyful or painful, has shaped the person standing here today. To forget would mean to cut away a piece of yourself, but to let go means to carry the memory without allowing it to control you. It means you recognize the chapter as part of your story, but you no longer live inside those same pages. The book of life continues forward, and holding on to what has already been written prevents you from turning to the next chapter. Memories are powerful. They hold emotion, energy, and meaning. When you recall something, it can feel as if you are transported back to that very moment. Your heart reacts, your body responds, and your mind begins to replay conversations, mistakes, or images that may have occurred years ago. This is why letting go is often misunderstood. People think it requires cutting off all memory, as if healing means wiping the slate clean. But a slate wiped clean leaves no wisdom, no trace of what was learned. True growth comes not from forgetting but from remembering differently. The memory remains, but the sting is gone. The wound becomes a scar, and scars are not signs of weakness. They are signs of survival, signs of lessons endured and overcome. Consider the difference between carrying a photograph and reliving the entire event inside your head. When you look at a photograph, you acknowledge that the moment happened. You see the faces, the places, the details. It is part of your past, but you view it as an observer. When you relive it, however, you drown inside the moment. You become trapped in the emotions, as if nothing has changed since then. Letting go is learning to look at the photograph without climbing back into it. It is knowing you can hold the memory gently, but you are no longer its prisoner. Many people confuse letting go with betrayal. They feel that if they release their grief, they are betraying the person they lost. If they release their anger, they are betraying their sense of justice. If they release their regret, they are betraying the seriousness of their past mistakes. But letting go does not dishonor what was important to you. On the contrary, it honors it by acknowledging that its role in your growth has been fulfilled. Imagine a teacher who gave you lessons that shaped your life. When the lessons are finished, you move on to new ones. You do not forget the teacher, nor do you deny their value. You simply recognize that their purpose has been completed, and now you must apply what you learned in new circumstances. This is what letting go truly means. Life is not asking you to delete your past. It is asking you to stop carrying it like a burden. There is a difference between carrying wisdom and carrying weight. Wisdom is light. It guides your steps. Weight, however, drags you backward, slowing you down and draining your energy. Both come from the same experiences, but your perspective determines which one you carry. If you look at your past and say, "This happened, and it made me stronger, it taught me something," then you are carrying wisdom. If you look at the same past and say, "This should not have happened, I cannot move on until it changes," then you are carrying weight. The choice between the two is what defines your freedom. Letting go is also not about giving up. Giving up is born from hopelessness, while letting go is born from clarity. Giving up means abandoning your power. Letting go means reclaiming it. For example, imagine a relationship where you give everything but receive only pain in return. To keep holding on, hoping it will change, is to exhaust yourself. To give up would mean to close your heart entirely, to deny yourself love forever. But to let go means to recognize that holding on to this particular relationship is harming your growth, and by releasing it, you create space for something healthier. The love within you does not die. It simply seeks a better place to flow. This same principle applies to dreams and ambitions. There are times when a dream you once held dear no longer aligns with who you have become. To give up on it out of fear is weakness. But to let it go because you see it no longer serves your authentic self is wisdom. It means you trust that something else, more aligned with your path, will take its place. Letting go, therefore, is not an act of despair. It is an act of faith. It requires trusting that life is bigger than your grasp, that possibilities exist beyond what you can see now, and that by freeing your hands, you prepare yourself to receive. The heart struggles with this idea because holding on feels like control. When we hold tightly, we believe we are keeping something secure. But in truth, nothing in life can be controlled this way. People change, circumstances shift, seasons pass. Control is only an illusion, and the tighter you cling, the more fragile everything becomes. Letting go is an acceptance of life's impermanence. It does not mean you do not care. It means you care enough to allow things and people to move naturally without forcing them into a place they no longer belong. To let go simply means to release what is no longer serving your growth. Growth is a natural law of life. Just as a tree must shed its old leaves to prepare for new ones, human beings must also release what has already fulfilled its purpose. But unlike the tree, which lets go effortlessly when the season arrives, we often resist. We cling to situations, relationships, and beliefs long after their time has passed. This resistance creates inner conflict. Instead of flowing with the rhythm of life, we hold on to what is comfortable, even when it keeps us stagnant. Letting go is not abandonment, it is alignment. It is aligning yourself with what allows you to move forward rather than staying attached to what holds you back. The question that often arises is, how do you know when something no longer serves your growth? The answer lies in awareness. Pay attention to how you feel when you engage with it. If it drains your energy instead of nourishing it, if it keeps you repeating the same cycles without progress, if it creates more suffering than joy, then it may have already served its role. Growth is not always about pleasure, but it is about transformation. A challenge that makes you stronger is valuable, but a burden that leaves you stuck is no longer helping you. Recognizing this difference is the first step toward release. Think of a child's bicycle with training wheels. At first, they are necessary. They provide balance, safety, and confidence. But if the child refuses to let them go, they will never experience the freedom of riding on two wheels. The training wheels once served their growth, but eventually they become an obstacle. In the same way, certain habits, people, or ideas may have been essential in one chapter of your life, but if you hold on to them forever, they limit your next stage. Letting go does not mean you reject their value. It means you honor their contribution and then step beyond them. There is a tendency to confuse comfort with growth. Many people stay in places where they feel secure, even if deep inside they sense they are not evolving. They remain in jobs that no longer challenge them, in relationships that no longer nurture them, in routines that no longer inspire them. They tell themselves, "At least I know what to expect." But growth is rarely found in certainty. Growth lives in the unknown, in the space you enter only after you release the familiar. To let go is to step into that space with courage, trusting that your roots are strong enough to support your expansion. Consider the way a snake sheds its skin. The old skin becomes too tight, too restrictive. If the snake refuses to let go, it cannot grow. It is not that the old skin was bad. It protected the snake during a certain stage of life. But once that stage ends, the skin must be released. The same principle applies to us. Our old beliefs, old identities, old ways of thinking. They were useful once. They kept us safe. They gave us structure. But as we grow, they can become too tight. If we cling to them, we suffocate. If we release them, we expand. Letting go of what no longer serves you is not always visible on the outside. Sometimes it is something as subtle as a thought pattern. For example, the belief that you are not good enough. Perhaps it was created during childhood. Perhaps it was reinforced by failures. For a time, it may have even motivated you to work harder. But eventually, this belief becomes poison. It prevents you from recognizing your worth, from seeing opportunities clearly. Releasing it does not mean you forget the experiences that shaped it. It means you no longer allow it to dictate who you are becoming. This principle also applies to relationships. People enter our lives with purpose. Some stay for a long time, others for a brief moment. Some teach us love, some teach us resilience, some teach us what we must avoid in the future. But not everyone is meant to walk the entire path with us. To let go of someone does not mean you stop caring about them. It means you recognize that their role in your journey has been completed. Holding on to someone who no longer aligns with your growth can create suffering for both sides. Release allows space for new connections that reflect who you are now, not who you used to be. Habits are another form of attachment that can limit growth. A habit may have served you in the past, but as you evolve, it may no longer be beneficial. For example, working tirelessly without rest may have once helped you achieve success, but over time, it may harm your health and peace of mind. The habit served its purpose, but if it remains unchecked, it becomes destructive. Letting go of it does not erase your discipline. It transforms it into a healthier form that serves your current stage of growth. Life constantly invites us to reassess what we are carrying. Some things are essential, others are outdated. Imagine walking on a long journey with a backpack. At first, everything you pack feels necessary, but as the path stretches on, you realize certain items are slowing you down. To reach the mountain ahead, you must decide what to leave behind. Carrying everything may feel safe, but it will also exhaust you before you arrive. Choosing to release what no longer serves you is not a loss. It is an act of wisdom. It makes room for what is truly needed for the road ahead. Yes, it is difficult. The heart wants to hold on because it feels safer in what it knows. The human mind is built to seek familiarity. Familiarity gives the illusion of safety, even when it is filled with pain. This is why people often return to habits, relationships, and ways of thinking that they know are harmful. It is not because they want to suffer, but because they fear the unknown more than the discomfort they already understand. The heart clings to what is familiar because it does not want to face the uncertainty of what comes next. This is the paradox of growth. It demands stepping into a place you cannot yet see, while everything inside you longs to remain in the place you already know. The difficulty of letting go lies in the emotional bond we form with what we are holding. Think of an old house you once lived in. even after you move away. Your heart may still picture the rooms, the walls, the memories. You may know logically that you cannot return, but emotionally you are still attached. The same happens with people and experiences. The heart does not simply follow reason. It ties itself with invisible threads to moments, to faces, to feelings. Cutting these threads feels painful, as if you are cutting away a part of yourself. And yet, without loosening these ties, you cannot move into the fullness of who you are becoming. This is why so many carry pain for years, sometimes for a lifetime. They mistake familiarity for belonging. They believe that because something feels known, it must also be right for them. But there is a vast difference between what is familiar and what is healthy. A person who has lived long with anger may feel incomplete without it. A person who has carried guilt for years may feel lost when it finally lifts. The absence of what you carried can feel like emptiness at first. Emptiness can be frightening. But that emptiness is not a void. It is space. It is the room in which something new can grow. The heart is not easily convinced of this truth. It whispers to you, hold on a little longer. If you let go, you will have nothing. But this is an illusion. The heart confuses loss with emptiness. It believes that without the weight of the past, you will be incomplete. But incompleteness does not come from release. It comes from clinging. As long as your hands are full of what no longer belongs, you cannot reach for what is meant for you. The difficulty lies in trusting that when you open your grip, life will not abandon you. Something new will enter, but only when there is space for it to arrive. Fear intensifies this struggle. Fear says, what if I never find something better? What if I let go and regret it? Fear thrives on uncertainty, and so it convinces you that clinging is safer. But safety is not the same as peace. Safety that keeps you in pain is only another form of prison. True peace can only arrive when you accept that the unknown may hold more for you than the past ever could. This acceptance is not easy, but it is the doorway to growth. Without it, you walk in circles, repeating the same lessons, living the same days. With it, you step forward into new ground. Consider the butterfly. The caterpillar spends its life crawling, familiar with leaves and branches. When the time comes to transform, it must enter the cocoon, a place of darkness and uncertainty. If the caterpillar clings to its old life, it will never fly. But if it surrenders to the unknown, something entirely new emerges. The struggle of transformation is intense, but it is through that struggle that the wings are formed. The heart, too, must undergo this struggle. It must face the fear of leaving behind the familiar in order to embrace what it does not yet know. The difficulty is not only emotional, it is also physical. The body holds memory. Muscles tense with old fears, breathing becomes shallow with old anxieties. Posture reflects burdens carried for too long. Even when the mind decides to release, the body may resist. This is why practices of silence, breath, and movement are essential. They help the body release what the heart and mind are willing to let go. Without addressing the body, the old patterns remain, like echoes repeating long after the original sound has ended. Letting go is difficult because it requires faith in the unseen. It asks you to believe that life is not empty, that when one door closes, another truly opens. But faith cannot be proven in advance. It must be lived. The difficulty, then, is not simply in the act of release. It is in the trust that follows it. To stand in the unknown, to breathe in the space where the old has fallen away and the new has not yet arrived, is one of the most challenging places a human being can endure. And yet, it is in this place that transformation becomes possible. In life, there are moments when holding on feels easier, but deep down we know that true strength lies in letting go. To let go does not mean to forget, nor does it mean to give up. It means to honor what was, to accept its place in our journey, and to release it so that we may step forward. We must learn to recognize the difference between carrying wisdom and carrying weight. What no longer serves our growth must be set down, so our hands and hearts can remain open for what is to come. Yes, it is difficult. The heart wants to cling to the familiar, but life invites us to trust the unknown. And only by stepping into that space of uncertainty do we discover our wings. Remember this: letting go is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. It is the act of freeing yourself so that life may continue to flow through you. So when the moment arrives and you feel the weight pressing down, remind yourself, I know it's hard, but you must let go.